So, tough acts to follow. Spoken like a true marketing guy. But do you guys realize what cool stuff Deo's bringing to you?
Such cool stuff.
New technology, lower risk, lower energy, lower footprint, better life cycle, better throughput, better yield. Capable of doing more than just what's on the table, 1,000 barrels per day. This stuff's real. I got a slide here that says who I am. I'm a chemical engineer. I've been in this industry for 28 years. I've dealt with all of the major EPC firms. We do things at Invensis called MIC or MAC, Main Automation Contractor. But what they do by being able to do all that in-house, it really is about time to market. It really is about schedule. And for them to be able to do something repetitively, modularly, scalably, and to be able to reuse that again and again and again, that's huge. So what do we bring to the table? Well, Deo has a number of things that are important to him. And, I kind of liken, people ask me, what's a chemical engineer do? Or what is the process control industry? So chemical engineers, we take things like recipes, all right? This is how you need to do it. And we build kitchen, all right? But, how do we control the oven? How do we control the blender? How do we know how much hydrogen to put in? How do we know when the tank is close to overfilling? So that's what people that are in the process controlling. But I've been in this business quite a while, and I think what I'm seeing this man potentially bring to you is rather unique. So what is process control? I kind of gave you a kitchen analogy in terms of what that is. I'll bet there weren't many people, maybe other than Buck and some of these gentlemen, that understood what process control was before you walked in here. But we're the ones that make it work. We're the ones that bring all of the field instruments together, the things that measure temperature, level, pressure, and flow. Things that automatically open and close final control elements, like turn motors off and on, turn compressors off and on, regulate a compressor to only 60%. We bring all of that field instrumentation together and we bring it into a program that is safely going to operate and monitor that plant. Invensis brings 9 different brands underneath the Invensis name. Our DCS system, our safety instrumented system, some of our simulation tools, our cybersecurity, our process design, and our operator training. All of those things of which are extremely important to this man. And that's kind of how we came to meet. So I was in Omaha earlier this year in January. I was preparing to move my mother from Omaha to come live with us in Chicago. I was mixing some business with pleasure, and being that I am a business development guy, I came across Deo in the press, called him up, and it's not easy for me to get a call with a CEO just by a phone call, but he was eager to meet with me. We spent about 2.5 hours together on our first day, and about 5 minutes into the conversation, I said, Deo, why me? Why'd you decide to meet with me? And he said, Doug, because your business title said business development, and I'm trying to build a business here. You're not a salesman trying to sell me something. You're truly interested in helping me build my business. And since then, we've had a long relationship since January. You immediately were my Valentine date on February 14th down in Houston in our executive demo center.
You have to say that again.
Yeah. But at that point, he decided that we were worthy of becoming a trusted advisor. We worked together to define a business proposition, or I guess what he would call his distinctives. And I've spent a fair amount of time with Deo. I went to Kansas City and spent a whole day with Rick learning about isothermy. He asked me to come to see you guys up in Canada, but it wasn't convenient for my schedule. Deo attended our user group. Kicked off on Tuesday morning, about 9:30 in the morning. I get a call from Deo, says, Todd, I'm already convinced. What I need you to do is set me up with some of your company professionals and help me better understand what some of your portfolio products and solutions are and how they might help me going forward. So by the end of the day, we had a plan. You had breakfast with our advanced process control guy the next day. You met with one of our business consultants. You toured around our factory floor. You spent 3 hours understanding some of the other things that truly differentiate Invensys, not just the distributed process control that we sell branded by the name of Foxborough, and not just our safety instrumented system that we brand underneath, being the #1 safety system in the world called Triconics, but really some of the other solutions, business solutions at an enterprise level that make money. Because it's okay to control this stuff safely, but how do you take information and give to an operator? So we're adjusting flow rate on hydrogen. If he increases that flow rate or decreases that flow rate, is he making money? Well, we've got ability to use some patented techniques that we call dynamic performance measures and present that information to the operator so that when he makes control decisions, he knows if he's not only doing it safely, he knows if he's doing it making money. And that's another thing that differentiates us. So what were some of the things that were important to Deo as we go forward? A global automation leader. You've heard him say that, he may have his first one in Nebraska, but his vision is multiple plants throughout the world. So he needs a worldwide automation leader that has global reach and is able to support him in those parts of the world. Trusted automation partner, I'll show you some of the, we do business with the world's largest, most mission critical customers. The world's largest refinery in the world is Reliance in India. It's 100% Invensys. Global reach and support. Our domain expertise is refining and biorefining. In fact, I think one of the things that early turned you on was you came to Houston, you were talking about that new Russian Fischer-Tropsch. I hooked you up with our Pro 2 and Invensys guys. We said, wow, that's unique. We've got a couple Fischer-Tropsch models in our library, but we'd like one like that. We'd be happy to work with you if you gave us your typical characteristics. We'll design that Pro 2, we'll scratch your back, you scratch our back, such that when you go live, you can pull that module out of the library and use that. In fact, Dale is already committed to the Pro 2. I had you down for free training, I think a week ago in Houston.
Tuesday.
If you had that 30 years ago, look at you now, right? So that's, we're leaders in the refining space, safety systems, design simulation, and the other thing you heard him say today was important to him was, protecting his intellectual property from cybersecurity threats and concerns. So we met and we've kind of perfected this. What's important to Dale? Global full scope partner, capable of improving time to performance. That's what Zeton's all about with their unique design of starting that fab early. Drive capital investment costs down, keeping his current technology current, using our domain expertise, lower the overall life cycle costs as we replicate these things going forward. Safety of the operation to not only the environment but also the human has been paramount to him. And protecting his technology goes forward. So you can read what Deo wrote me after our February 14th. He said, you convinced me that you're the right company to work with. Invensys can partner with us right at the very onset of our project. Since then, we've been acting as his trusted advisors since early this year. So what have we done? We signed a mutual non-disclosure agreement. We agreed on the Russian Pro 2 model. We joined the BioSyn team in Kansas City. I was unable to travel to Zeton. I spoke to many of you in the audience today on July 31st at his soft launch of his benzene-free gasoline. Deo attended our North American Client Conference. It was then that he got the realization that we've got so much more in our portfolio that we're able to help him design his business business model going forward. In fact, the last bullet on here I'll talk about in a minute. We're already partnering on the Pro2 software, and I'll talk to you about our design and simulation expertise. I'm here today at the Investor Client Conference. John, we're beginning the discussions of a true partnership with a memorandum of understanding leading to a memorandum of agreement. And then I return here next week. I'm bringing two of my business consultants, both of whom you met in San Antonio. And we're going to do kind of what Adam showed you analogous to his phase one and begin the process of, what does this BioSyn enterprise look like? So if we understand what some of the units of operation are, and from a piping and flow layout, that kind of defines what some of the input and output requirements are. How many level, temperature, pressures, and flows are we going to need to measure? And how many final control elements are we going to need to drive? We'll begin to understand some of the operational performances of that, but we'll really be in a position to define at a business level which of our many solutions are available and truly make sense for Deo as it goes forward. This might be an eye chart, but that is the Reliance refinery in India. That is a new centralized control room that they built for unit J1, J2, and they're building an even larger unit J3. And they pretty much use everything that we make in terms of their day-to-day operation. But we're coming here next Tuesday to really talk about some of the things that he saw at the user group conference in terms of, does that really make sense? Is there a return on investment? Does that really help the BioSyn cause? Things like you talked about, you guys take your instruments and run them to a terminal strip. We've got a new technology we call Intelligent I/O. There's major trends in the market with regard to instrumentation by making these instruments smart, using technologies like HART, or Foundation Field Bus, or Profibus, or OZIBus, or hybridizing and mixing those technologies for critical and non-critical control. Lowers installation costs, makes it easier to predict failures, makes it easy to prevent failures, makes it easier for an operator to be able to manage those assets going forward, true asset management. We've got state-of-the-art, what we call human-machine interface capabilities. We own Wonderware. Wonderware is the #1 largest HMI software in the world, and all of its other associated portfolio products. But we've got new technologies that come out in situational awareness graphics, taking advantage of some of the new industry trends, and not providing information overload to the operators, but giving them truly the information that they need here and now to do those dynamic performance measures and give them KPIs on the value of the business, not just the temperature of the process. So cybersecurity, our advanced design tool sets. The Pro2 is designed for process design, rigorous thermodynamics. You built a preliminary BioSyn refinery in about an hour, and you were getting real-time results as a result. And that was just back of the cocktail napkin kind of stuff. We've got another product that we call Romeo that's used for real-time online optimization. You, sir, asked the question about scalability. If we model his plant, we can actually run it dynamically and answer that scalability question, if those tool sets make sense from a financial standpoint. We can then take that rigorous thermodynamic model, optimize it for day in and day out use to provide, and some of these DPMs, the dynamic performance measurements, we on average, our typical ROI rate of return is less than 3 months for the advent of what we call those BVS or business value solutions using that patented dynamic performance measures. But if we do that, we can then turn that into a product that we call DynSim and use that for operator training. So here we're building a new plant, one or more. We're going to hire new operators, thank you to the Nebraska Department of Energy, who's coincidentally interested in funding a training initiative, build a brick and mortar installation, and I'll show you an example of where we're using DynSim to do that for National Electric, Department of Energy, sorry. But it's some real cool stuff. We had tried to bring that here, but that particular user group is actually going on as we speak in San Antonio this week. So we agreed to bring that back and show that to the folks down in Lincoln directly, and we'll do that in the next coming weeks. But in terms of plant failures, catastrophic plant failures, the number one cause for that is mechanical. But if we can do things like to predict and prevent that, we might be able to eliminate that. But the number two error is human error. So if we can now model the plant, dynamically optimize and simulate it to make maximum return on investment, and now use that as a modeling device to train new operators, and throw at them scenarios that says, what are you going to do if this happens? What are you going to do if that happens? How would you handle this situation? We can actually studies show that ergonomically, we can take a green new hire operator and get them to equivalent 6 years of online operational performance in less than a year by the use of a dynamic operator training simulator. We're number one in OTS, we're number two in OTS around the world. So we're coming here next Wednesday to begin the preliminary discussions of defining what the design is. So who's Invensis? I told you we're a collection of 9 different brands. We're a UK company. We're on the equivalent S&P 100. Let me think here. Just our division alone is $2.1 billion. Who do we do work with? Top refining companies, top chemical companies, all of the pharma companies, fossil plant power, nuclear power. 18% of the world's refined products are on Invensys, either DCS or SIS. 24% of the world's chemical production. 64% of the world's LNG market. The largest LNG manufacturer is Rosgas and Qatargas and Malaysian Gas. They're all Invensys customers. And 32% of the world's nuclear power is controlled by Invensys. We must be pretty cyber secure to do a couple things right if we're entrusted at that level. So we're number one in safety. Brand product is called Triconics. We're number one in human-machine interface. Brand name is Wonderware. We've got the second largest installed DCS base around the world. We're number two in OTS, the DynSim and iSim products. We've got a whole level of manufacturing execution type products that come from either Invensys workflow. One of the things that we showed him last week was as he starts to do all his buying, we can populate our purchase order module, and then later when he goes to operate, we can backfill the asset management with the maintenance and work order module and automate that process, which we do for people like Harley Davidson, we do it for Hendrix Motorsports, we do it for Jim Beam, we do it for Pepsi, we do it for a number of customers. So we're number two in simulation. We're seen as a trusted advisor and partner for the world's largest, most mission-critical customers. Who are those people? OPPD right here in Omaha for one. And this is just a sample. I mean, this looks like Adam's chart. I mean, this is what we do. This is our business. That's his business. We have 12 vertical industries that we play in, including facilities, the Venetian and the Bellagio. Those are all Invensys controlled. So we do business with the world's largest, most mission-critical customers. We're global. It's important to Deo. No matter where he ships a system, we can provide on-site service, remote support, remote dial-in, remote monitoring, remote engineering. Whatever those customer requirements are in that global geography, chances are we're already on the ground. Refining and biorefining. I told you we do work with 23 of the 25 largest petroleum companies. Don't ask me who 24 and 25 are because I don't know. But I would say ExxonMobil and BASF are our largest refinery and chemical customers. Here's some testimonials. ExxonMobil uses our real-time optimizer. They're estimating over $500,000 per year savings in just that one product alone. Shell uses all our Pro 2. In fact, there's a Shell, there's another Shell quote that'll show that a little bit more. We're number one in safety. I think for the last 13 years, we've been voted by our users as being number one. The brand name is called Triconics. We offer something that we call TMR, or triple modular redundant. Somebody asked the question about redundancy. What TMR is 3 sets. And if it's a true emergency shutdown system, fire and gas system, high pressure relief system. Insurance companies care about that stuff, dictate SIL or safety instrumented level requirements. That's why we're number one in safety. We just launched a new product that's a SIL 2 based system called TriGP that's lower cost and I think perfect for what his applications are. But we're number one in safety. That was very important to Dale. Design and simulation, our connoisseur product is number one. We take that and tie that to our system for checkout. Adam showed in phase 2, what they do is they build it and then they test it. We can actually use our design tools to automate that testing process to make sure we've got 99% of those bugs out, just like you said. And being able to stage all that under one roof, that's huge. I mean, that's huge. Pro 2 is being used by all the major engineering and procurement and construction companies. One of the questions Dale had before he bought Pro 2 was, talk to me about your hydroprocessing. KBR uses it exclusively. I don't know what you guys use, Adam, but we'll figure that out. If you don't use us, you're using AspenTech, I would guess. Right?
Well, our clients bring the technology, right? So we don't do too much simulation. So we just use Thermodynamics.
Okay. To design the processes. So we're very well versed in automation, simulation, and design. Here's ExxonMobil. They've standardized on our Pro 2 software, our online optimization software, our operating and training software. And in 2004, they said that they were saving about $500 million per year. Last week, they updated at our users group that they're saving almost $750 million per year by using our suite of advanced design software. Shell, I won't bore you with this stuff, but down here, this says Shell spends about $25 in support costs to achieve $1,000 in benefits from optimization. And they've rolled this out globally. Here's our operator training simulator. So we can use the design tools to design the process. We can use the online optimization to make the most amount of money. We can tie it together with our checkout tools to automate the checkout process, and then we can use it for operator training to accelerate the learning curve of new operators. And we just launched a year ago what we call iSim, which is a three-dimensional, heads-up display training tool that allows us to train field operators. So all along we've been we're number 2 in operator training, OTS, and we train control room operators. So these are the guys that sit in the control. I showed you a picture of the Reliance control room. They sit behind keyboards and PCs, and we throw at them scenarios. What would you do? How would you do this? What would you react? How do you go through a correct startup procedure? How do you go through a correct shutdown procedure? But how do you train a field operator? You send them, the control room says, I need you to go out and check transmitter FT101. Where the heck's FT101? Is it in that corner or is it in that corner? Or is it down on the second level? So we can holistically, holographically, with three-dimensional tools, actually train field operators. This is what we're doing for the Department of Energy. They've got an IGCC integrated gas combined cycle process that they're trying to democratize. We're working with West Virginia University and a PhD named Dr. Turton. They've set up a brick and mortar facility using DynSim and iSim to train their operators. And this is the message that you've asked us to take to the Nebraska Energy Department. Okay, and then we've obviously got some intellectual property that is under NDA, but we want to keep it safe and secure. So we read about cybersecurity attacks every day. There's more happening every day than they would like us to know. It's just a matter of time before something catastrophic happens. But because we're a large automation provider to the power industry, and specifically the nuclear power industry, which is very regulated from a cybersecurity or NERC standpoint, critical infrastructure protection. We have a whole portfolio of people, products, and procedures, and services that allow us to not only deliver safe cybersecure solutions to our customers, but do cybersecurity consulting to any customer in any industry on any platform. And you had spent some time with our cybersecurity group when you were down in San Antonio. So that's that. So what do we bring? We bring a true business development perspective to work with some leading cutting-edge suppliers to deliver a safe solution in any global part of the world that can be optimized to make the most amount of money, safely and securely. And that's why Deo has asked to continue our partnership and work with you fine folks. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
How do you dovetail in the beginning of the engineering of this phase with your company? Zeton. And do you have a working relationship with the two companies that already exist? Have you ever done projects together?
They are actually a customer of ours. One of my peers calls on them. I'm not sure to what extent we have a working relationship, but let me just say that we as an automation supplier work with engineering, procurement, and construction firms around the world in multiple scenarios, competitive bids, non-competitive bids. We're starting the preliminary design, if you will, of what the system architecture looks like. And with that, when the Schedule A comes, then we'll understand what the details are. But it's a collaborative working relationship, and that's what we do for our customers around the world every day, day in and day out. No different than what they do. They're technology agnostic, and you guys are well versed in dealing with multiple technologies and multiple vendors. That's what we do for them.
So then from the engineering side, we go this gentleman first, or we go you guys first?
You know, we're not there yet.
Actually, right from the start, they are starting with us. So, for example, when they come here on the 22nd of this month, we will discuss the design basis for the entire architecture, not just the isothermic, but the entire plant, both for the gasoline and the diesel. And I will provide them on the basis of our non-disclosure agreement. I'll provide them with certain proprietary information that will enable them to determine certain, let's say, certain equipments that need to be included. But I will also, knowing a lot about isothermic, although we don't have the official basic design yet, based on all my exposure to them, especially after our interactions there in Dallas during the symposium, I know enough about process flow diagram, including what you call material balances, energy balances, and especially if you remember what you answered me on my question or a comment, that your approach to the overall reaction kinetics is macro, and so I don't have to worry about the internal for now. Right. Okay. So since I know based on the software and the Pro 2 that we bought from, the license that we bought from Invensys, so I can actually design I can actually simulate certain diagrams, okay, certain processes, such that I can give that to them, and then they do their job, so to speak, after that. So it's a lot of coordination right from the very start. But if I may add this, that particular document, what we call the preliminary front-end engineering design study, we will actually use that, among others, in our private placement memorandum, such that it's just a preliminary document, but it's sufficient for us to kind of give some costing estimates, plus or minus probably 30%, and other information that would give some credence to our project and give some level of comfort to the potential investors. That we're not just I'm not just another bright-eyed college graduate who said, oh, I have invented the next best class in the world and invest in me and maybe this will work, you know. I have said over and over again in the past that we are not engaged in any speculative activity. Everything is designed, controlled, checked right from the very start, so that the level of risk is so minimized. There's almost like, you know, I don't want Anne to say 100% no risk, but you know, like if I die tomorrow and something can't be wrong, but the risk overall is really minimized. That's why if you notice, BioSyn is only dealing with the top guys. You can see these guys. Okay, even the next speakers are pioneers. You'll later on see that in the industry, which we will be trying to take advantage of. Okay, so what am I reading? Actually, I have something in mind, but
I think his question was about support.
Well, no, it's really about how do you guys dovetail.
How do you kind of
He lays it out, you do a simulated model, or you rendition the thing in a simulated software, and then obviously you'll probably turn that over to these individuals who will take it and turn it into a hard working,
A detailed design.
a detailed design, a hard piece of gear that I can put out in the field, is the way I'm understanding it.
let me explain this to you as practice in the industry, okay? Let's actually oversimplify things such that we only have one unit process, okay? Of course, in our design, we have quite a few, but just one. Let's say isothermic from DuPont. So instead of me inventing a hydroprocessing technology, I just go to DuPont and say, can I buy your invention? So they will come to me and say, okay, this is worth a few $1 million. That's what you call basic design, all right? And then based on your throughput, we will charge you license fee. So we pay them for their basic design. But their basic design, I couldn't use that to build a refinery right there and then. I have to go to an engineering firm that will do what you call the detailed engineering. So based on their design, I'll go to Seaton or an EPC, traditionally EPC company, engineering, procurement, and construction, that will do the detailed engineering. And as Adam explained earlier, traditionally that EPC company, after doing the detailed engineering, they will do what you call a bidding for the actual fabricators and the construction. Okay. In this case, Seaton will also do the same. So that's why you kind of there are quite a few steps that you don't have to do with respect to what they're doing under their model. So based on the detailed engineering, they can do the construction. But in all of this, you need all these things to work automatically and to control them. That's where companies like Honeywell, Siemens, Rockwell, Invensys would come in. And they're what you call the process automation systems provider. But as I mentioned earlier, after I attended their users conference in San Antonio, I realized that they have a lot more to offer in their portfolio that will make it a lot easier for us to move forward. Not only the process automation, but also the business systems, process optimization, safety, cybersecurity, and so on and so forth.
Once the unit is built and started out, DuPont's now out of the picture, except in an advisory standpoint. Zeton has completed their construction and turned it over. And really, that's where a lot of your software kicks in. Now you push the button, it starts up, you start collecting data, you've got operators that you're training, that are going to be ongoing training, and you really become part of the operation.
That's right. And all of our plants are sold with what we call customer first, and depending upon what the customer's needs are, dictates 24/7 phone support. But it's very unlikely that the manufacturer of the plant ever gets called for, you guys deliver warranties or performance guarantees, I'm sure.
Performance guarantee. There's this process guarantee.
Right.
Okay, there are guarantees. The performance guarantee, Then we take care of the other, like insurance, project insurance, things like that. Other risk mitigation services, and we'll get that from other companies. But after the, what you call, thank you for that, the commissioning, you turn over they turn over the refinery. Then it's basically operations. And that's where Invensys would really work with us over the long term, not only in terms of making sure that we're safe from potential danger, we prevent any potential accidents, things like that, but also to optimize the process and make sure that what we're doing is not only doing well, but also that we're making money out of it. Save also cost and a lot of other things. So,
But it's still kind of early on to figure out what that aftermarket sales service and support business
Well, I was just trying
model
to
is.
get a general understanding of all the characters
yeah.
and then their roles in the
Sure.
But let me just add quickly that whatever the protocols or the practice in the industry, we're going to do, we're going to follow, and we're going to do even better. Okay, so that's why we do not attract venture capitalists. Because venture capitalists will invest in a company that's basically trying to say, hey, invest in us because we have the next best thing in the world. Or all the processes that we're doing, that we're following, is basically the process of the likes of Shell, Exxon, and so on. They also talk to process licensors, they talk also to process automation systems provider, they also talk to EPCs. We do the same thing. We're going to be using mostly the same software. Like what I said, we just bought the licensor of Pro 2. Other companies are also using that. Okay, they're very expensive, by the way, but they have been very kind to allow us to give us a discount and pay, little by little.
But that becomes a platform now. Something like Pro 2 becomes a platform that you can build off of. And I mean, not just from a process automation standpoint, really from the business standpoint. You track your inbound raw materials, you track your outbound products, and you manage all of that. That rolls back into somebody who can manage and watch that, run the business and so forth.
Yeah, and it also, that Pro 2 would also allow me to collaborate with DuPont, with Invensys, with Zeton, as we move forward. It's like if you want to edit an article and you're using Microsoft Office, Word, and you're working with somebody else, he has to also have a Microsoft Word or another similar software.
This is interesting because we use Microsoft, so. That'll be a good conversation.
We don't want to argue, but the point is, you have to use more or less the same word processing, such that the formatting, you don't have to worry about formatting and things like that. The only difference is, Word is only a few $100s. This one is a few $1,000s, tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, so that's the difference. And in my case, I can study Word for a few minutes. I have to study Pro 2, a few weeks. I just had a crash course for 8 hours, which was, how many hours? Four? Anyway, we finished it earlier, but the point is, I have to drive. I don't like long distance driving. I have to drive to Houston to study this. But anyway, it's a more sophisticated way of doing things, which involves a lot of people, especially the big boys, and they're here. So,
Good question, though. Any other questions?
Could you leverage this? I mean, because, you're not going to, you're going to have investors owning this. I mean,
no, our company will first of all, for the first one, we will have our own, we will raise funding to finance our own, almost like a demo plan, but it's commercial. Okay?
Right.
But then our business model is really to sell these refineries to our clients. Some of them are here.
Right.
Okay.
And part of what you'll be getting here can be leveraged across multiple units.
Correct. Yes.
Some of it may have to be standalone, but like not every plant would require a ProSyn
That's right.
Simulator, they might have some of your add-ons for each client, but it's not like you're investing in necessarily key to every kind of startup. That's an investment that will spread it out.
Yes, quite correct, yeah. That's why I don't mind, spending a good, to us, relatively big investment. And it's also like a toy for me, so.
Question back there? No. Okay,
Okay.
no more questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc.